So, for a child that's born, the first 2 5 that we had was on measure 7 and 8, right? And on that 2 5, I told you that you could play that 2 5 starting with root 7 and going to root 3, or vice versa. If you decided to go with root 7, let's say the A minor would be this guy, and then you would do that Herculean effort of playing that D all the way up there. Hurts a little. And then we go to D7 root 3. The melody goes down to C, and there's one detail there that needs to be changed. That D7 has a flat 9. So this is what you would need. Root 3, 5, 7, root 3, 7, 9. So that was the first 2 5, and then but the alternative would be to go root 3 for the A, root 3, 5, 7, root 7 for the D, root 7, the E needs to go flat to become the flat 9, and the G needs to go down to the 3rd. Right, and the top note adding the melody. Here's A minor 7 with the melody, D7 with the melody. All right, and I believe, you remind me, measure 9 for that G minor, we said root 7, right? Yeah. Yes.
If you're playing root 7 for the D7 flat 9, and then you go back to root 7 for the G minor 7, that's okay.
That's what I was just going to ask you. Root 3 on A minor instead of root 7.
Yeah, either way. Oh, either way, regardless of what you do with A minor and D, go to root 7 on measure 9. Because it is that the melody is D. So if you went root 3, you would have to put the F above the melody, and that changes the melody, you know, because our ear would perceive that F as the melody. So G minor root 7, because then the 3 5 is right here, and then the D7 root 3, the right hand gets the 7 9. You can do it that way because the melody is already that E flat, right? Or you can do the 5 7 and add the melody, because it's not a 2 5, right? That's why it gets a little funny there. So G minor 7 with the D on the top, D7 root 3 in the right hand. Either you play this, right, and this is the melody, or this, and just don't play the 5th, because 5ths are stupid. And then after that, we have an F for the melody, B flat, and back to the D. And that repeats again. And then check it out. Now we have on measure 14 a C7 root 3. Right? So we have G minor root 7. Now we have this is a 2 5, so we would go, right? And then you add the melody. And then for that chord, E flat major 7, I said play the entire E flat major 7 on the right hand, and the left hand just Fs. And then here, for the F7, you could make it into a root 7 on the left. The right hand, you have right nearby a 3rd and a 9. Right? You could do it that way. And then, so that would happen during the rest, and then you add the melody afterwards. And that's kind of where we got. So from the top, if you're doing arpeggio, I think most of you said that you're going to do that. That you're going to do their B flat, arpeggio, right? The arpeggio replaces a root 3. The F is not necessary, but the A is, right? So this would be D on the right for the melody plus the 7th, and the left hand would do the open arpeggio. And then E flat minor 7 inverted on the left hand arpeggio. So the E flat inverted is this, right? So for the open arpeggio, you would skip the middle note and put it above. So if let's just loop those two arpeggios first here. B flat arpeggio, B flat, F and D. E flat minor 7 arpeggio. Back to B flat. Back to E flat. I'm gonna add the melody now with the 7ths below the melody. So check it out. Here's the first line. Right? Making a video of this guy here for you to have. Now we have a C7. I could do an arpeggio, but I won't because I'm lazy right now. Make sense? And remember, all those when you have the root 3s, you can always replace them with the arpeggio. So from measure 9, you could be doing this. Questions? All right, so check it out. We have 5 minutes, and let me show you a little bit more. So measure 17, that line is exactly the same as line 1. So what happens new here is the next line, measure 21. So for measure 21, we start the same with that B flat, right? We could be doing the arpeggio. And then for the D, you could play here a root 7 if you want, because the 3rd is already on the right hand, and 5ths are stupid, so not super necessary. Or you could do a root 3. In root 3, then you would have the 7, right? And either the 5th here, or just the 7, or you add the 9. I'm gonna have just the 7. And then let's do E flat major 7, root 3 with arpeggio. If you prefer to do root 7, it works as well. Either way, so for that A flat major 7 on measure 23, either root 3 or root 7 work. And for the A flat 7, same deal. It could be root 7, or it could be root 3. And that, you see that little G flat thing there? That I played before the song by playing that G. So the melody is a G flat. That's just a suggestion to maybe harmonize it as a G flat chord, because it sounds cool. And then also helps getting to the next part here. And that's where we're stopping today, getting to measure 25. So on measure 25 we have F pedal, and on the right hand then you have to play the rest of the chord. You know, you need a B flat, you need the third, you need the seventh, and the melody already has an F. So whenever you have like kind of a pedal situation, like those that measure 29 and measure 15, I know it's a pedal and not an inversion, because that note, the F, is not part of the E flat chord, right? If it was a note that was part of the chord, I could think is an inversion, which is what has been happening there for the first line. Yes.
So when you have G flat, bevel slash, is that just like G flat over, what would be the bass? I know nothing is in the bass, but...
Right, so I put that there, you just, at that moment, the A flat is living there, right? So I wouldn't even worry, it's, that one is like, you don't have to do anything with that one if you don't want to. I just had played in the past, that kind of, harmonization, where you take the note of the melody and pretend as a root and play the rest of that triad on the top. So we got measure 24 and then measure 25, this guy. Any questions for clarity of what we need? It's a lot. And it's not. And it is not, and it is at the same time. But there's a lot of repetition, right? So really, like, there are really 4 or 5 things there. The rest is just kind of repetition. All right.